allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Welcome, everyone. All right. Let's go over the sign the payroll registry, which I think everything's done.
Microphone.
Thank you. Forgot to put your microphone. I got to remember how to do all this, Paul.
It's be like riding a bike.
We had an amount for period ending 3/21/26, $38,028.42. Payroll taxes was $8,630.38. Direct deposits was $35,911.31. Checks was $2,117.11. Detail revolving account was $560, and ambulance revolving account was $1,213.12. We had overtime 11 hours for the fire department, 0 for PD, 2 for the highway, and on-call PD had 35 hours. And then, do you have a motion for the consent agenda?
Yep. Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So approved. All right,
Could I ask a question?
sure.
Do you know how many shifts the on-call covers for PD? Because I'm assuming that means that there aren't 2 people on.
It was 35 hours. I guess we'd have to ask for clarification from the chief. I think the chief is invited to come next week, so we can ask him next week, I guess.
He'll be here tonight.
Will he be here tonight?
Mhm.
So we can ask him tonight when he shows up.
Cool.
So,
I do know that Ashley's on maternity leave.
okay.
Yep.
We're gonna have some discussion items.
Want to do the consent agenda?
I thought we just did that.
I thought you did the payroll register.
All right, well, I'll make a
Consent.
motion for the payroll register. I thought we just did the consent, but
Then we did payroll, and then you want to do the consent agenda, right? Which is the minutes and the treasurer's report.
all right, we'll make a motion for the public minutes, recreation manifest, and treasurer's report. There is no building permits because that passed.
I made a slight change to the public minutes from the 14th. I don't know if people want to look at it or if we want to just push those off to next week.
What's your changes?
Just the vote to make you chair, your vote wasn't recorded. So
Okay.
I thought that you had abstained, so I added that, but
Are you guys okay with that change?
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else?
nope, that was the only thing I changed.
So that would be a motion. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Those are the minutes, because the 10th I wasn't here, so I should abstain from that? Or is it,
If you read them,
There,
you feel
that's
like
where it
you're-
was made me for chair.
no, that was the one before that when Andy was still on.
if
That's-
you read them and feel like they're an
did
accurate
not.
represent, oh,
I
well,
did not read them.
Okay,
I was separate.
so you're gonna abstain.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Any objections?
No.
Perfect. I'm gonna make real quick for the recreation, there's, thank you. For the recreation, there's, to appoint an alternate to the Parks and Recreation Commission, Kendall, I'm gonna probably massacre this, Brule, I think is how I pronounce the last name. Was already voted on, by the Rec Commission. Do I have approval or motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
can
All in
I,
favor? Oh, go ahead.
did they follow the normal, like,
Yes, normal-
procedure,
yeah.
everything? Okay.
So this is something that was discussed before they came in, they talked to her, interviewed, did that whole process.
Hold
so-
on, pause. So
Sure.
there is a process that the select board came up with to streamline appointments,
Mhm.
where you post it publicly to see who's interested.
Yeah, we needed an alternate. This is an alternate position. It's not somebody that's on the commission. This is an alternate position.
Okay, so, okay. So no, you didn't then?
I,
Or not, I know it's not you, but I'm
Right.
just, okay,
typically the process for me, historically, from when I was on the board before,
right.
is you would have somebody express interest, they do their due diligence, they research them, they make a recommendation. Their board is fine with accepting her as an alternate. I'm fine with accepting her as an alternate.
Yep.
So,
Yep, since you've been gone maybe.
Yep.
There's like a process where when there's an opening on a board, and it's not just this one, any of them,
Mhm.
you post it publicly so that people that might not know that there's a rec commission, that there's a open spot.
yeah, and I think there's still more.
Okay.
They just didn't have the bodies, and this is one of the persons that was recommended and was interested in
So
serving.
maybe what I'm saying is we should
Sure.
make sure that we post that so anyone else who might not know that there's a
Sure.
rec commission could also join.
And I'm fine with doing that for this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And Laura, you're on the rec commission, so I don't know if you could just address real quickly, the recommendation for
For
Yeah, she
Kendall.
was-
Brinsboro Lake.
She was great, and my best memory is that we did advertise for it. I know we
Okay, so
asked a lot of people.
That was my question, because there is a process.
Yep.
associated.
Yep. And she was great. She's a lot of athletics background. She has a really good business background, and I think she's gonna be a really great addition as an alternate.
Yeah, and the board, the rec made that advisory
Yep, it
recommendation.
was a unanimous vote.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
All right, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Good. Here we go. We can get that to Nick so he can do his process. I think she has
Do
to
you
be
want me
sworn
to
in.
sign it, or do you have enough signatures?
It only has the one for the select board chair.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the form says.
Huh.
It only has one signature on there.
Is that one different because it's a commission? I feel like we usually all sign appointment slips,
I don't know.
but
I'll
maybe not.
Hand it to you. You can take a look
No,
at it.
no, it's fine. I remember signing more appointment slips,
Oh, okay.
not just the chair. So, but if,
I don't know. Is this a new form? I don't know.
I don't know, because I've never been the chair before and I've definitely signed them. It's okay.
There you go. All right, and then I'm gonna ask for Trish Canty is on the list. Come on
You
up.
could be there. Just push the button, the circle button.
It'll light your phone up red for you, or your microphone. There you go. Now you're live.
Is that good?
Yep.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody for supporting the senior banners last year.
You are.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trisha Canty, 290 South Road. Thank you again for your support and the community's support. We had 46 seniors up last year. So that was a really huge accomplishment because there wasn't many more students that, opted out of not having their banner up. It's almost time for ordering to start, and I just wanted to bring to you guys a couple suggestions that I had by some residents from last year's banners. They had mentioned that the size is a little bit undersized for the road in which we put them on. So I have a few other options of sizing, and then another suggestion was to add like the town crest or the high school logo or the college logo in which the student is attending. Those all go along with size. The size that we have right now currently, we're not able to put anything additional on the banners. If we increase the size of the banners, we need to increase the size of the brackets. So the brackets that we purchased last year, we could still reuse those. We just need to buy larger rods to run larger banners. So I have prices for all of that. We don't really need many more mounts this year. The graduating class is very small. So I was hoping to purchase maybe 5 or 10 additional mounts. I don't know how many students graduating are either homeschooled or in private school at this point, but we have just about enough high school graduates with the brackets that we purchased last year. So I'd like to purchase a few more this year and asking if the town could help do so, like you guys did last year.
Tricia, could you just let us know what the current size of the banner is, and then what we'd like to go to, what you'd like to go to?
So we have, it's 18 by 36 size. And the new sizes increase would, we could do 24 by 36 or 24 by 48. I think that 48 is a little excessive.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
the
it's too big.
36 is a good size. The only trouble with that is I have to get new rods. It's kind of a specialty item that I've had some trouble finding. I can order them from the printing company. They were able to find somebody else, a reseller, to sell them. They are costly. We'd have to buy a 5 or 10 foot pole and then, cut it down and drill it, which I have people to help do that. But again, we're adding more money onto
I would,
brackets that we.
this is my only thought as far as, I would keep them the same. I liked that you were recognizing the seniors for graduating. I don't necessarily, I think it's awesome that people elect to go to college, but not everyone does. And I think,
That was my first thought too.
I think it's almost kind of like, I'm going here, I'm going there. That's great. They do that at the high school. They recognize that. I love people that continue on, go and do their own additional education. My wife works for UNH. I've said that before, so I'm big on education. But I also think sometimes if somebody goes to a trade school and stuff, they're not having that, and they wouldn't have that listed on their thing. So I liked how we did that last year. We just kind of recognized them for graduating, for being through the school, going through the school system in our town, and we recognized them for that.
I think if we stick with the size that we already have, we have everything that we need. It's not, we're not opening up a new issue.
Right. I would just need a few more
Right.
additional.
Well, I
brackets.
understand
I
that.
wouldn't have to do anything to.
And
what we
putting
already have.
putting the logo, the school logo on, the high school logo is kind of redundant because we're here and everybody knows that.
And she just said that there might be kids that don't go to extra high school or are
Right.
Right.
homeschooled. So
Or
then,
homeschool,
so
So,
what is, it currently just says class of
It
whatever
just-
year?
and then their name on the
yeah,
logo.
Which I think
I think
is,
that's enough.
I think that's fine. You're
Yeah.
recognizing them for their
Okay.
accomplishment of graduating.
Correct.
And my son last year was one of the,
Oh, good.
high schoolers who, and it was great. I mean, you did a great job. It was great seeing all the kids, and then you gave the banners back to the kids, so we have it in our basement, so we can embarrass him.
I hope it's hung up in your basement.
Right, whenever he comes home from college, and it really, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
size-wise, I thought it was also, very reasonable.
Perfect. I agree. Also, I just wanted to bring a couple ideas that people had.
Yeah, no, it's a great program.
Okay,
I really, congratulations. You do a great job with it.
thank you.
And how much did the town contribute last year?
I have it right here. Just give me 1
It
second.
wasn't
So
a
the
lot. It
brackets
was
in
under
which
5.
we purchased were $1,900. So I think this year I have an estimate of $49 per bracket, so 5 or 10 brackets this year. That will give
So
me
under 1,000.
yeah, that will give me extras just in case, like, one of them broke last year during the windstorm that we
Right.
had, and, just to have a few extra on hand in case something does happen. And they do tend to sell out every year, so ordering as soon as possible is what I'm trying to do, because they go quick from the printing company.
And how much did the town contribute towards those last year? I know you guys did a fundraiser.
Yeah, no, they paid the 1901, and all the funds that I raised were to offset the price of the banners and to cover some banners that were lost in that storm. And I think there's a small amount of money left from last year that we're just rolling into this year. And we'll do that again this year, offset the price of the banners with the money that I've already raised.
So you're looking for basically $50 or $49 a bracket, but you're looking for 5 to 10?
Yeah.
So you're looking for $500?
I'd make a motion for $500 for the brackets.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Which line is that gonna come out of?
Where did you guys take it from last year?
I don't remember.
I would probably say just general,
It came out of, I think, one of the government line, but I can't remember. It
communication.
was
Is-
communication.
there's like a town events line, I think. Yeah, but it doesn't belong in the annual reports line.
I definitely put it in the wrong line. I don't
No, no.
know if it got corrected. Hold
What
on.
I'm saying is, town events, something like,
Do we have a line for town events?
Yes.
How much money's in there?
everyone stare at Jillian because it'll make her click faster. I think it's like $2,000.
I can play the Jeopardy song if you would like. Sure.
Can you, just because you know that the people on the recording can't hear you.
I'll share.
Michelle Sudit. Last year they were one-sided, weren't they? Why do you not put them back to back?
How would you attach them?
I don't know how they're.
I'm up for that. I just have to check with them. I just don't want things to be covered by trees or branches or anything.
Plus, you're looking across the road, coming the other way, but,
Just a thought.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could do them on both
Thank you,
sides of the
Michelle.
road, like one side and then the other side.
If you end up with 100 kids, yes. Great. Other than that, just keep it on one side.
Make-
Just over 50, 52 maybe. I can talk to Wayne. I think he's probably the one that can make that decision because he's
Okay.
putting them up and dealing
Okay.
with that, if everyone's okay with that.
Any luck?
Well, we can wait till Julie comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're talking about $500, so I think,
Yeah.
Julie will
We'll-
find a line for it.
We'll find it.
So it's
Okay.
not about
Okay.
finding, I just
So-
want to.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you again.
And then
I
we'll
Thank you,
find
appreciate
out.
it.
Anybody opposed?
Thanks for all your work.
Any abstentions? All right, good. So, and probably if we could put it in the line.
So
Is that somebody's
the
phone?
town, there is a town events line.
Yeah, we
Last
do all
year,
work
we
last
budgeted
year's.
$2,000. I don't know what we budgeted this year. Just,
The report's actually gonna come up.
it's not part of town reports. So I guess I just wanted to make sure that it got accurately, the expense got accurately placed this year.
All right. So if we can put that into, hopefully come out of town events budget, please. Next, I'm going to call Peter Foster up. You had a presentation you wanted to do. I don't know if you want to sit and talk about it, because he did hand out these booklets, but he does need these back afterwards.
So, careful.
So, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I want to give a special thanks to Letty and some others that have encouraged the presentation of the classes on ethics and governance, effective governance that I presented a couple of weeks ago, and are now you should all have electronic copies or files on that part. Then tonight, what I've wanted to do is something that I feel very passionate about and have for years, ever since I came across a master teacher at Exeter High School who had a special class on presentations to the Fed on inflation. And he got a group of students together and all year worked on essays to present to the Boston Fed. Very, very exciting, and the participation was at a very high level. And at that point, that was the point of genesis for me, or inflection, to think about how do we pull young people into seeing how municipal government works. And I think there's a need to get new blood, new ideas, and just generally get people more involved, young people involved. So I started this.
Peter, excuse me one second. Are you not calling us young? that-
You're very young for old.
Young for old.
So what you have in an electronic file and in the booklets is the first non-voting rising senior in Brentwood to participate as a non-voting member on the select board. I think the consensus had been to just generally look at the booklet, not expecting endorsement or vote. It is generally to do a cursory look at some of the outline that I spent a fair amount of time looking at, but that does not mean that this is hard and fast. This is very fluid. So if you see areas that can be improved upon, that was sort of, I think, the chair's instruction to me is to have a look at this, look at it for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe, and then I could come back and we could do a deeper dive on some of these areas. You'll see on the first, just generally going through the pages, there's an executive summary that my editor got fired over because we printed the first line wrong, and it looks very presumptuous, and it is. No getting around that one, but it is what it is. The job description is very involved, and it could be trimmed down, but it includes a year's service. It is planned on, if this does get some traction at the select board level, that there would be something in the fall that would kick this thing off for appointments starting before the town hall in 2027. So it would be a March to March service. The eligibility requirements would be, you don't have to be going to Exeter High School. You could be in private school. You could be homeschooled, but you need to be a Brentwood resident. You have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
If it's March to March and they're going in as a senior, they'll be then out of school.
No, well, yeah, that sounds confusing, but maybe I didn't say it right. So the rising seniors, it's a rising senior. So you're a junior.
Oh, okay, okay.
In your
Coming
second,
into your senior year.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because they don't
There's-
have a year after March, because then they're getting ready for
Yeah.
graduation and all that.
That
other
was my
stuff, so,
point, right.
yeah.
And yeah, no, it's a point well taken. Must be a Brentwood resident. You're a rising senior entering 12th grade at the time of the appointment. That can be negotiable. We've obviously have to interface with the Exeter High School and others. Of course, good standing. I'm not going to read all of this, but parent legal guardian needs to be involved. And if you'll see that in the application process. So there's a job description, the meeting attendance, there's exceptions for that can be given with prior notice, such as a calculus test or a sporting event that can't be missed, or a person gets kicked off the team. So there's exceptions written into this. The compensation is pretty important. It's unpaid, but there has been some discussion at the high school that there would be community service hours offered, because this is, it is an average of about 10 hours per month. It's a big commitment. The general exposure that these two students would get would be that limited to hearing, familiarizing themselves with the agenda. They would be expected to participate, not just observe. And that is enumerated here very exhaustively, actually. And again, it can be altered. I can't stress this enough, that just because I was very detailed, it needs to be very fluid and has to have your fingerprints on it.
And you have met with the principal at the school, correct?
I have.
Okay, how about the superintendent's office? Have you met with them yet, or no?
I did not go to the superintendent,
Okay.
but I will say this, that it was not for the purposes of endorsement.
Okay.
It was not for the purposes of getting their approval. It was merely just to see did this cover something in their civics, in the needs of introducing or enlarging or widening the field and the depth of what they wanted to do with civics and understanding government. And as it turned out, it got a lot of traction. And I'll save that for a deeper dive to go into why they see the benefits and from doing something like this. And their support is, as I said, deep and wide. You'll see that the application, I don't think we need to go through that now, but the application is going to require a bio and also a limited but 300 to 400 words on why I want to serve. Then the next page is sort of some of the marketing that might take place. I just wanted you to see how this might get sent out and try to attract some of the students that are very interested in understanding government. Then the last section is a historical overview and references. You'll see some New Hampshire programs. You'll see some Boston, Tennessee programs, California programs. I just didn't want you to think, I dreamt this up in the bathwater or something, but that had some, clear feet under the table kind of thing. That there's.
I think the cooperative school board has student
Well,
representatives.
So, yeah, I was instrumental in bringing two students onto the board when I was on the co-op board, as I was the first Brentwood representative for the co-op board and served 2 terms. It is now required by law to have at least one high school member on the co-op board, or school boards. And in the case of the co-op, they have 2. This would be different. This would be more than observational, as I see it. But this is the outline that I imagined. This is something that you have to make it your own. And my feelings are not going to be here to see how you come up with this or what you use. I would be very, very happy that you would use some of it.
Okay.
Well done, well presented, Peter, thank you.
And you wanted these books back, right, for tonight?
I would like, just because they're gonna be shown again.
So when do you want to start doing this if we agree to do it? When would it start, putting the applications out?
So we would start promoting this in the fall, and then depending on the high school and depending on the interface with the select board, that could take place late fall and then move into January and maybe have that appointment somewhere in the first of the year.
I'm confused, why did he take them back? I want to read it.
You have an electronic file.
Oh, okay.
If you don't mind.
And he needs
Because
those
this is
Gotcha.
going to be shown again.
Yep, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
And did you want to
Nice presentation, thank you.
okay with that? Did you want to discuss this too, your ethics thing that you brought up?
That's an electronic file that you now have to, I just wanted to give you the.
For us to discuss. Okay, so we'll take a look at that and then,
That was just your copy.
okay, so we'll try to follow up with you in a few weeks and get you on the agenda and go from there. Since I'm gonna jump right in real quick, I want to recognize Ward Byrne, because I didn't get a chance to do this before at town meeting.
Save
or
your
any
applause
other
to the end, please.
He was sworn into the Advisory Committee on Marine Fisheries in the state of New Hampshire. So I wanted to congratulate him on that, because I don't think a lot of people probably were aware that he was sworn in and that he's, all the work that he's done with the state and with the fisheries and the stewardship and everything else. So I wanted to recognize you and applaud you for doing that. So. And he's done I'm going to say a pun, a yeoman's work on getting it done. So, all right.
Good job, Ward.
So I had to do that. Abatements? No abatements? Okay.
Is the one that we tabled last time? Maybe next week, right? We tabled
We
one.
tabled it until Julie gets back
Okay.
for the 31st.
I had talked to Adrian about it, but it also works to table it until
Okay.
Julie gets back.
The other thing I did want to bring up, I'm used to reading checks, and I know we have the consent agenda. Wanted to get everyone's thoughts. I like reading the checks. I get to see where all the money's going. I tend to remember a lot of numbers. Don't know why, but they stick in my head. So if something seems off, we'll be able to figure it out. So I wanted to get the pulse of this board to see what your thoughts are on reading the check manifest. Yay or nay? It's up to you guys.
I know we used to do that, and it was good because we would catch something that was wrong. I mean, you could go through it if you had a problem.
Right.
You could pull it out and look at it. Now you don't know, you just.
We're just signing off on them, so.
Is there a benefit, I guess my question would be, is there a benefit in your mind to not just looking at the register? Because we have the list of checks.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just, because you're disclosing that out to the public, number one. It is public checks, so is there public money? Sometimes you find duplications. Sometimes you find where the numbers aren't reconciling. So typically you had one person that was going through and saying, yes, that number is accurate. And there's a lot of times that we found, when I would read them out, and I usually read the checks, somebody would check them off as I was reading them, and they'd say, that one's got a different amount than what you just read. And then we'd have to pull that aside and say, well, I have a copy of the check, and I have this entry, and the entry is different than what the check is. It just makes the balancing of the checkbook and the reconciliation process more accurate, because now I'm literally going through every single one. I can read checks. I'm sure Dave remembers.
You're fast.
Really fast. I could go through an entire list in probably 3 minutes.
I guess my question would be, I'm assuming that the people we hire to do those things are doing them accurately. So,
But then with that argument, I would come back and say, how did 2024 work? There was an issue with reconciliation.
so So starting in October of 2024, we didn't have a town administrator is
Mhm.
I think what the issue was there. I don't know why. I guess this three of us that are left could try to explain to you why the new town administrator didn't fix it, but I don't know that reading the checks would have helped with that.
It would have been able to figure out if there was any nuances or something like that.
So I don't, I mean, and gonna look at, not you, I'm gonna look at the two of you. I don't think the checks matching with the invoices is the reason that 2024 isn't done.
No, but I don't see how it would, for 3 to 5 minutes of our meeting, how it would, really hurt to have the checks read. I mean, and it's just
Do you still have
Full
your check
trans-
invoices?
full transparency and
Let's do it today,
it's just another set of eyes on
right?
it.
You
I don't
still
see a
have all
problem
your
with it.
check manifests?
Yeah, but we don't have the actual
We don't have
checks.
the check.
No, we don't.
That's but the manifest is what the checks are printed off of.
Right.
Right.
Typically,
We're
I'm
talking about taking the checks and then matching
checking the
them up.
checks, you match them up. Direct
That's
deposit
part of
slips,
it.
that's part of it.
That's
If there's a
right.
marrying up, you have one person that's looking at them, another person that's reading them from the
But
manifest.
can't we just
and
do
reconcile.
the same thing here?
No, because that's just me reading off of that list. I don't have the
Checks either.
confirmation that they match.
Well, she can go get them is what I'm saying.
You wanna grab
Like,
it? We
the
can do that.
checks
I just
haven't
wanna
gone
find
anywhere.
out- The whole purpose of this,
if-
again.
If
the-
we feel
wait,
like it's important, let's
wait.
do it.
The purpose of me reading this was to
Mhm.
get the pulse for this board going forward. If this is a process that you guys would be comfortable doing, or did you want to stay with the consent agenda?
It sounds
That's
like
what I
the
was asking.
majority of the board wants to move forward, so let's just do it.
Well,
Well,
yeah, I would say
What's your
that,
thoughts?
yeah, my thoughts are that, I look through the register pretty carefully, and if there are things that are on there that I have a question about, then I, speak with the town administrator and find out what the issue is. I mean, I'm willing to try it and see how it goes.
I mean, you guys been
Can't-
doing the consent agenda for 3 years, so that's why I
Yeah,
wanted to
It,
find out.
it can't hurt.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how long it'll take. I mean, I know there's a lot of checks, so it could end up taking a while. We could try it and see how it goes.
Okay.
But usually, I've looked at that register pretty carefully, and when things stand out, that's when, I have a question.
Okay. Dave, what are your thoughts?
I think, I'd like to have us do that and read them. Nice to know what's going on.
I'll take the invoices.
Okay.
The only thing is, I don't have the payroll.
I don't think we need to
Stubs.
do it tonight
Why?
because we're not ready.
And we already approved the consent agenda anyway, so,
Can I take a look at the invoices at least?
definitely.
Do you want payroll or?
No, just the invoices. Thank you.
All right, so next week we will start doing
So
that.
is that gonna put Ambrose behind, before he signs all the checks, it won't mess up him then?
No, it won't mess it up because until we sign everything, he can't do that anyway.
So he-
Once we review it and it's good, then he gets them back and it goes. Because until we sign the manifest, they can't go out.
It's nice to see what's going on, who's getting what and all that, and
Yeah, well, where I see consistency is like if I know someone's getting paid, I'm just gonna use this number, $1,000. Every week, they get $1,000. That's what their paycheck is. And then I see something that's 1,100, now I'm gonna say, why is that off? Did we approve something? What happened? Someone needs to explain that, so.
And also though, Bob, I mean, this is all public information.
Mhm.
So I mean, us reading it, it communicates something, but anyone can obtain this information as public information.
True.
I think Jim Hajar may have had a.
Anybody from the public want to talk about it? Come on up.
Jim Hasher, Mohawk Lane. Yeah, I just for what you just said, I know that it's public can access it, but I think there's a benefit to doing it and reading it out loud for the public to hear. And if they had a question, they could come up and ask as well. I don't know. Again, it's been a while. I do remember when you used to do it, but I think it's time well spent. I think the public should hear it. And I also would add, and I don't know if you currently show it, but do you see the accounts that the check is going to be charged against in your report? Does it actually
Yes.
show? So the account line is there. Good,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Because that's also important. And again, I don't think that's important that the public needs to hear it. But I think it's important that you see it so that people are seeing, because that's an important piece of the puzzle too, so.
To me, it's just a reconciliation process.
Correct, that's what I mean, so by. seeing
I'm
the
used to
account-
going through and checks and balances, right? So
Correct.
to me, it's just balancing the checkbook and making sure things are accurate. And it's more transparency. I like transparency, so I don't hold things back too much, as I'm sure a lot of people have figured out. So anyway, if, I'll take a motion if somebody's comfortable with doing that.
I'll make a motion that we read the checks.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any
I'm an
abstentions?
aye.
Okay. All right, so we'll start doing that next week. We can just add that on the agenda.
I do have a quick question. I don't normally print out all the pay stubs anymore. We've tried to go a little paperless. Would I need to start doing that? Because how else would you check those?
You should have like direct deposits. You can actually, just similar like you have for the
Yeah,
manifest.
no, we,
I could have those with physical checks I'm gonna have, and I know the physical checks was only like $1,000 some odd dollars.
Yeah, it's only like one or two
So
people.
it's one or two people, but then I should have something that I can read off and say, this is what those checks it should be balancing. With your manifest, here's the actual list of the checks.
Oh, okay.
That can be one
Yeah.
page.
that's
I-
what the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
provide that. Just checking.
So as long as I have that, I'm golden. All right. Old business? Any old business?
Well, can I ask the question
Sure.
that I asked earlier now?
Sure.
Chief Murch, could you tell us how many shifts are not fully staffed with the 2 officers?
We did have, what, 35 hours, I think
This
it was?
week was 30
this
something,
week.
yeah.
35 hours, I think, was the on-call rate.
Yeah, typically it's between 35 and 40 right now, being down 2 personnel.
Down 2?
Yes.
6. How many, sorry, don't you, how many?
On staff, not, I was gonna speak about one who's not actually working right now.
On leave, yeah.
Yes.
Right, so I guess I would have expected some number to go higher to compensate for that. Is that not?
No.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I have,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
no, sorry, I was wondering, I heard from a couple people that they were surprised that the rec department was charging for childcare at town meeting. They've never done that before. So I was wondering if that was something that the rec commission decided or how that decision came about.
I know that they had to pay the people that were going to be there, so that's what they were looking for, people to do that. I think historically, I remember we used to have some people that would volunteer to do that. I don't think they had the volunteers this year, so they had to pay for somebody. to do
They've
that this year.
always paid, because I know in past years it's come up whether or not the board wanted to cover that charge or not so that people could come to the meeting. I think people were surprised that they were being asked to pay, so.
Yeah, and I don't know what they ended, I'd have to check with Nick to see what they ended up getting, how many children they had, stuff like that. I'm not sure what they had. But I know that was one of the things that was brought up when I was at the rec, is that they were going to be charging, I thought it was $20 or something like that, $20. I'm not sure what the fee was.
Okay, just,
They
it's the
did come
first
up with
time,
a fee.
it's the first time it's ever happened, and I think people
Okay.
were surprised when they tried to bring their kids. It's obviously not gonna be the same type of issue moving forward.
Yep.
I saw an email that I was CC'd on earlier this week. Are we going to only paper permits now? Building permits? I thought we were switching to an online system.
Yep, go ahead.
The software that we changed to will be including an online permitting system shortly. They're working on it.
Okay.
So for the time being, we are paper.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that we were still moving back towards having
Yes.
an online process.
But the system we have doesn't do that right now?
Not right now, but all permits are available on the website.
But they have to print it
Yes.
or
Fill it out and then
fill it
email
out and send it back, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay. And Chief, are you here for non-public? Okay.
I had one other thing
Sure.
that was more of a meeting protocol question, which is
Sure.
interesting because you're here now. So I had emailed asking to add something to the agenda last week
Mhm.
and was told that because you weren't going to be here, I couldn't add it to the agenda. And previously, there had been a discussion at the board about how things got added to agendas and like what the process was for that. And so I was curious if we were gonna change that or if we were gonna stick to what's in the select board handbook, which is as long as it's in before noontime on Friday,
Right. So
then member of the public or the board can.
right. So typically what would happen is, I know I touched base with Julie and I tried coming up with what was going to be on the agenda. I knew that she was going to be out this week. I wasn't sure if I was going to be mentally able to be here since I didn't get in till 1 and then I didn't go to bed till 2:30 by the time I got back from airport and everything else. And it just so happens I drink a lot of coffee, so I guess I'm awake. So I'll probably sleep really well tonight. So I'd like to at least have an idea of what the agenda is going to be. Typically, historically, what I'm used to is the chair gets what the agenda is. They kind of sit there and go, all right, we know what's going to be happening in that meeting, whether it's going to be a long one, short one. I know next week is going to be extremely long because we definitely have some non-public stuff to go into personnel issues. Looks like we're going to have some tonight also. Typically, I like to be included on what's going to be on the agenda. When I was chair before, typically I would look through it and go, I can't address that this week. We can move it till next week. I know Daphne, for example, was going to be coming up and talking about something tonight. She decided to move that to next week because she wasn't sure if I was going to be here. I wasn't sure if I was going to be here. So Jim wasn't even sure if I was going to be here until he walked through the door.
I didn't know you were gonna be here
So,
until I sat down.
And I think I sent something over to Jillian and I was awake, so I showed up early. So, so typically I like things to be, so I know that they're coming. I know I touched base with Peter, confirmed that I was going to be here. So I wanted to keep him on because I wanted to get that process going. But I did touch base with him that I knew it was going to be a fairly lengthy program that he was going to be submitting. And I wanted time to digest that. And I felt that the board would need time to digest that before we could make an impulse decision on anything. I'm not somebody that likes to do impulse. I like to ponder sometimes on certain things. So I like things to be put on the agenda, but I also like to review them and to be to recognize how much time I think certain subjects are going to take. I don't have a problem having a discussion and bringing things forward, but sometimes I'm not somebody that will vote on an impulse right away on a lot of things. I will pause, I will ponder, and I will come back and look at them in a couple weeks. So when a lot of stuff gets dumped onto an agenda, I want to pause, I want to digest what they're going to be doing. So when I was in Europe, I was emailing back and forth and making sure what was going to be on the agenda. So I would prefer if somebody's got something they want to put on the agenda that they can include myself. I know they were sending things over to Jillian because Julie's not here. And then Jillian would reach out to me and then I would say, I knew Peter's was going to take a little bit of time, so I wanted to talk about that. And there's stuff with HR, I think had to be moved till next week. And so that's why I made that decision. So typically I like things to go through.
Sorry,
chair.
so maybe I'll just restate my question. We have a policy that the select board has that if a member of the public or the board wants to add something to the agenda for the next week, as long as it's in before a certain time and date, that it will be added to the agenda. It sounds like you made a decision to not do that.
I made a decision to move anything that has to do with HR or anything that has to do with personnel. I wanted that specifically addressed next week.
So I guess the question that I would have is, you didn't ask me what my agenda topic was about, whether it was personnel or HR. So I'm confused as to why you moved you just pushed it.
Because I didn't know how long this meeting was going to be, number one. Number two, I didn't know if we were going to have a full board because I wasn't even sure if I was going to be here. So I specifically requested that that be moved.
So I'm going to ask again, are we going to change the policy that allows a duly elected member of the board to add something to the agenda Are you saying that you have unilateral authority to decide what this board discusses?
No, I think we can, as a board, we can have that discussion, but I think if we want to make sure if the entire board's going to be here or if HR is going to be here, then I think that would be something that I would have to have a discussion to say, do we have, I don't want to put 100 things into 1 week because somebody has perspective that they want to bring forward. I don't have a problem having a discussion about it, but if we're going to have a meeting about that and we're going to have an elaborate discussion on some specific point, I would like to pause on some of that and move it to next week, for example, where I asked that to be moved specifically to next week because I wanted to make sure I was here for some of those discussions, especially with certain departments. I want to understand what that discussion was going to be about. You and I didn't have that discussion.
I know, that's why I'm
So-
confused as to why you know what I was going to talk about, because it sounds like you're talking about personnel and HR. I have no idea what you're talking about, because that was not what my agenda item was about.
Yeah, it had to do with specific departments. My understanding is you wanted to talk about the police department specifically.
I did, I wanted to ask
Yeah.
the chief some questions.
Mhm.
None of the things I was going to ask about were personnel or HR related. So this is why I'm confused as to why, without asking what I was going to talk about, you said, no, I can't talk about it tonight. We're not putting it on the agenda. Wait, you're not putting it on the agenda, and you're pushing it to next week because you have a perspective that I don't have. Whatever you're thinking about is information I don't have.
I wanted to make sure if I'm talking about a specific department that we could have a discussion and find out what you wanted to have discussions on. And we didn't have that discussion because you didn't include me on the emails. You went directly to Jillian.
That was, so I went to Jillian and Julie because that was the process that I was told to follow, which was get the topics that you want to put on the agenda to the town administrator before noontime on
Right.
Friday. So if you'd like a different process, I'd be happy to follow it. I didn't know that there was a different process, and if you were able to so easily communicate back and forth about denying my request to put something on the agenda,
It
you
was,
could have also just responded to me and say, hey, this isn't.
I don't think it was a declination of your putting it on the agenda. I think it was, we have other things that are coming on here. I wanted Peter to do his presentation. I knew he wanted to do that. And so it was like, can we move that until the following week? And that was not a problem. I didn't see an issue with it, especially if I wasn't going to be here.
I was,
If I could?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. So, yes, I think that is the process that we had under the prior board, and that there would be communication to the town administrator to put something on the agenda. Having said that, I think, and I think this is an appropriate discussion, because I think that the chair does have that unique role and responsibility to determine, how the meeting should be run and what, ends up getting filtered for any particular meeting and whether or not something needs to be moved. That's why we have a chair.
If I'm not mistaken, you've done that previously before as well.
Well, I got called. I got called on the hot seat for that, but that's okay. I dealt with it the way I dealt with it.
The other thing that I heard
But-
is that you weren't sure if you were going to be here. Julie isn't here this week, and having it related to the police, regardless of what it is, that's an important issue. So I don't see a problem with delaying it, but that's just me.
And I wanted to make sure I was here for that. So I can tell you that when I was the chair before, whatever was going to be going on with the meeting on the agenda, I would look at it and I'm trying to make sure it's a manageable time frame for having a meeting. I don't want to have a meeting that goes on till 1 o'clock in the morning. As you can tell, I don't sleep a lot. So I tend to average, probably maybe 5, if I'm lucky, 5.5 hours a night. So I don't have a problem sitting here till 1 o'clock in the morning. I think Paul would.
Yeah,
I think
I
Jim would. I think people in the public would. I think YouTube would, because they'd be upset with how much data we're using. So it's a matter of really managing that. And all I'm trying to do is make sure I'm managing the process. I handle things like it's almost like a boardroom. So I want things to move along effectively, properly, respectfully, and I want to make sure that we're taking the proper time. I know that the 31st, next week, is going to be extremely long meeting. I'm anticipating that meeting's probably going to be, I would say, minimum 3 hours next week.
That is information that you had.
Mhm.
And I think if you're asking that the process moving forward is that anyone who wants to have something added to the agenda would CC you as chair, I think the reciprocal level of respect would be if you deny my request this week because you know something else is going on that I'm not aware of, that you let me know as a member of the board.
Well, and I think that's where we utilize the town administration, because remember, we're oversight. So when Jillian reached out and said, hey, these are the people that want to be on here, like I said, Daphne, I was like, can you ask her to move this? Can you move this for the 31st? Can you do this for here? Peter, I wanted to get this done, and I had already had a conversation with Peter and said, hey, this is something I want to look at. I don't know if I'm going to be mentally able to look at it all and get, have a cohesive discussion on it. So I think that's why I'm thinking, would you be okay if you do an initial presentation and we follow up with this in 3 weeks or so to come back and digest what we have and have a fruitful discussion versus having a 17-hour meeting tonight to have a discussion. So, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be here. So I wanted to make sure that anything had to do with specific departments, that we were basically going to have a fruitful engagement. It's not a declination of putting it on the agenda. It's a matter of putting it on the agenda where we would have time to have proper discussions and move things forward timely and not get into rabbit holes.
So do you want to change policy where stuff goes through you? So if people call Jillian or Julie and before they put the agenda, you want to run it by you first?
Well, and I think that's what I talked to Julie about that before, and that was one of the things that Jillian was great because she sent me an email. I said I didn't have my stuff with me. I had limited access. Fortunately, I was 6 hours ahead, so I was able to kind of look at emails and then respond to them and then wait for her to respond back to me when she was back in the office. So I made that decision. I'm fine with making that decision on what's going to be on the agenda for the day when we're having our meetings, especially as we start going into after Memorial Day and we start going into summer schedules. I know last year you guys went summer schedule earlier. You went summer schedule earlier the year before. I'm used to summer schedule starts after Memorial Day. You meet every other week. Then that gets even more restrictive of what's going to be on the agenda.
Move this ahead and,
Yeah.
I mean, we're just going around the.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I'm engaged with what's going to be on the agenda and whether or not we have a proper time frame for it. So that's how I look at it. And I'm not dictating what's going to be on the agenda,
Well, is
but
there a
I'm
number
looking
of
to see
weeks
when we're
you're
going to be on
allowed
there.
to push it off?
I moved it till next week.
I'm not saying about this thing specifically, and it's also not necessarily about you specifically, but
Mhm.
especially in the summertime, if you're talking about our agendas could get full,
Mhm.
then how do we manage that?
And I guess that's the burden of being in the chair is having to manage to make sure that you're addressing the agendas that need to be managed. There's some stuff that might be able to have a discussion without even having it be on the agenda because you're able to talk with personnel and see what's going on and allow the, police chiefs or fire chiefs to answer certain questions that might not need to be addressed in a public meeting.
So I think one thing that you maybe, because you've been off the board for a while, is that especially in the last year, there were times when I wanted to have conversations and was told repeatedly that it was not the right time or not now or it's too late or it's too soon. And so I think I would feel most comfortable knowing that there's a pretty well laid out procedure and process for if you want to talk about something, this is how you get it on the agenda. We'll get it in within a month and then we'll definitely talk about it, because otherwise you end up in situations like this that you were referring to earlier. Well, how come nobody noticed the stuff wasn't getting done? Well,
And that's making sure that we're on top of things.
Right,
You'll
but
find that I like to manage things a certain way. So historically, how I used to do it when I was on the board, pre-2023, a lot of stuff got put into a consent agenda, so it was more stroking of a pen and signing things versus really doing that due diligence and oversight that I was used to and I was comfortable with, and I felt it was effective. When I see things that got kind of a little skewed or a little changed, and I think they can be rectified, I'm going to try to rectify them. So if the process for me personally, I think you should be sending over a request to be on an agenda. You guys nominated me and I accepted to be the chair. I would like to be CC'd on those. And then that way we can have those discussions offline of this is where hopefully we can add it to this week versus this week. Knowing that this was going to be kind of, I'd already had a discussion with Peter because I wasn't sure if I was going to be here and I knew he wanted to do a presentation. So I'd already had the discussion on this project. I think we talked for a couple hours on the project for the Rising Seniors. I thought it was a viable thing. We talked about the ethics. I do ethics. I have 27 licenses that I maintain as part of my job. I do ethics classes every year. I'm required to have at least 4 hours of continuing education credits on ethics. We talked about that. That was something that he also sent an email over because he felt that that would be a good thing for the board and maybe some department heads to take an ethics class. And I don't have a problem with that. I think maybe it would have to be voluntary. I do it every year, so I guess it's part of my licensing, so I'm used to that. So those are discussions that we have with people offline. As long as we keep that open communication and we're discussing with people, great. I think where it becomes problematic, especially from a town administration standpoint, is when they're getting bombarded. If they get bombarded by 5 different people to throw things onto an agenda, I can end up with a 4-page agenda for the day. That's not manageable for them. It's not manageable for us. So I want to make sure we're managing the process.
So I guess what's the expectation that if we discuss something here as a board, should we, if we're going to follow up, do we put it back on the agenda? Do we expect the town administrator to follow up?
I would,
Like to keep us updated?
yep.
Like,
and
so I have a whole list of things that we've talked about that have just kind of never circled back. Some of them can wait because of timing. Some of them, like cardboard dumpster, we keep talking about a cardboard dumpster. Where are we, like, so like, I don't know if that's worthy of putting on the agenda to discuss again, but I also feel like based on history, if it isn't on the agenda again or isn't brought up again, it just kind of falls.
That's where I would ask for things to be put onto, like if you look under our agenda number 4, for example, we have the discussions. And I had the, who was going to be Trish and Peter in abatements and meeting protocols, reading the manifest. Otherwise, what happens is we're kicking the can and nobody ever gets anything done. My job is not to kick the can. My job is to resolve, move forward, and get things done. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's just, this is your first meeting, and so I did not realize that you were going to run things this way. Thank you for explaining it. And I guess I will send you my list of old business things that are just kind of hanging out there.
And we'll try to get answers for them and get them resolved.
Or just add them to the running town.
To the old
Good
business running.
questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I see Jim sitting there, so I'm going to turn it over to you to see what you have.
Well, just Jim Hasher, just, we appreciate your discussion here, but just so the public knows, operational guidelines and handbook of the Select Board of Brentwood, New Hampshire, under section 3, duties of Select Board, A, paragraph A, chair. The chair shall preside over all meetings and shall have the authority to, paragraph 1, maintain order and control the agenda. So not a lot of discussion. And it says to see Appendix B. And if you jump down to Appendix B on page 37, it talks about how the public can get an item added to the agenda. And it says that they need to notify the town administrator prior to, anyways, it's in Schedule B. Like I said, we appreciate the discussion, but it just seems like this could have been held like the two of you over a coffee or something outside, because there's no motion being made or anything. And how an agenda is set, it's your responsibility.
I
Kind of
think,
familiar, because it's very similar to how the budget committee works
but
as
kind of
well.
what you just said, though, is that you said that there is a process in there for a member of the public to have something added. Does it say anywhere on there that the select board chair can just decide not to add it?
Absolutely. The select board chair owns the agenda, Letty. I mean, you know this better
No,
than I do.
I don't have.
I've already read it.
You separated out, you specifically called out residents, so I wasn't sure if there was something in that part that said, but it's always at the discretion of the chair. I just don't have it in front of me, and you do.
Yeah, I think, so typically, in my experience, historically, the chair is gonna basically look at it. If I have somebody from the public, like if Peter wasn't gonna be able to, you know, I talked to Peter. Daphne, for example, wanted to have something on here. We moved that. So I did have those discussions with people that wanted to be put on the agenda of, it's not gonna work with the schedule that I envision right now, so can we move that to a different time? Peter was understanding when I told him, present a brief out view so we can then have time to go back and take a look at it. And I told him that I would try to get this back on the calendar for within 3 weeks or so. It's not locking me into a time, but it's basically allowing me the opportunity to manage the agenda. I appreciate having the discussion, but I agree, we probably could have had this discussion before.
Exactly, you could
Yeah.
have, but
Mhm.
it sounds like you had it with Peter and Daphne. I'm saying you could have also had it with me. That was not the route you chose to
Right.
take. So I.
And I had
welcome
talked to
those
Peter actually
conversations.
before
That's-
my vacation,
that's
so.
fine. I welcome those conversations with you as well.
Okay. All right. Any other old business? Any committee updates?
You want me to go first?
Yep.
So I met with Chief Roy today from the fire department. They're busy working on getting the forestry truck ready and online. There's some things that they're working on, but hopefully it'll be ready for the summertime. I met with the police. Everything is going well. They were very helpful last night with a wrong-way driver on Route 101, if anyone saw that. Pretty scary situation, and one of our policemen was able to apprehend that person and stop them and keep them from causing really, a devastating accident. So that was very good. Also, I met with the highway department today, and they're working on one of the plow trucks went down, and they're working on repairing that. We were able to find some parts that were needed and should be hopefully back up and running next week. So
Yeah, I talked to Wayne earlier. He's-
good,
Part's going to be here for Thursday.
good. That's all I have.
Paul?
Yeah, thank you. So I met with the Rec Commission, and there was a pre-meeting for bylaws, which they're in the process of updating and putting together for approval. One of the issues that came up was a question of authority, where the Rec Board is advisory to the Select Board. One of the bylaws that was being drafted had some fairly expansive authority and powers under RSA 35B3, which is the statute. But in my opinion, and then we need to go back and speak with the folks who are doing the drafting, that some of those powers, like contracting or dealing with property and holding property, are really powers that I think should be reserved for the Select Board and taken to the town of that piece of property. So we've gone through the process of doing the the mapping and also the environmental assessment. So we're now at the point of a deed needing to be drafted. I was going to try to work something up in coordination with town council, Attorney Spector Morgan, and ultimately get that deed ready for the select board to approve. And then finally, there is the cemetery, and I've had some communications with the chair of the cemetery trustees, Jim Hajar, with regard to the cemetery that was abandoned, that the select board had agreed last term to take on the maintenance and responsibility for. That's also going to require cemetery, which is on a homeowner's property. So I was, again, going to coordinate with Attorney Spector Morgan in terms of drafting a right-of-way and/or easement for purposes of ultimate select board approval.
Is that new information? Because in the past, when the board had talked about that cemetery, there was never any mention of needing a formal right-of-way or easement.
I don't recall if that was mentioned at the select board when we took that over. Go ahead.
Jim Hazard, Chair, Cemetery Trustees. Yeah, when the town went through the process and declared it an abandoned cemetery, the thinking at the time from the cemetery trustees was that because there would be on a separate deed for that little tiny square cemetery, and that would update, the property owner's deed would be updated to show that little square is no longer his. But what we've learned after doing the survey and discussions with Mr. Kleiman, as well as with Joyce and the rest of the cemetery trustees,
I
is
think what
that
happened too, Jim, was that
we and the
we had
excuse me, the
discussed
town
it and
planner
also discussed
with the
with
town
Glenn-
planner
with Glenn
is
Greenwood, correct?
Glenn Greenwood gave us a recommendation that rather than trying to do all of that, it should be done as an easement, meaning that section of the property is shown as the Poor Farm Cemetery, granting the town cemetery trustees and the superintendent of cemeteries access to do the maintenance work.
Like a right
So-
of pass, like a right to pass.
Well, I think, yeah.
The right of way.
Yes, exactly. So we have access, but it won't be a separate deed for that little piece of
But
property.
I guess my question, I'm more familiar with specific rights of way where it's like the right of way is this
Yeah, that's,
specific path.
and I thought the same thing, Letty, and it's not that, it's strictly that we would have we have access to the cemetery, that,
Which would allow you to go across the trail.
Correct.
And to the cemetery.
Correct.
For purposes of maintenance, with the idea that it would require to get approval from the homeowner.
Correct.
That would not be unreasonably
Right.
withheld. So that's what
So
the right.
it is
what the
new.
right-of-way
You're
would
right.
look at.
It is
different.
new
That's
that
all I
when
was trying to see.
no, and that's why I got up to say it. It is true. We as cemetery trustees were led to believe that once it's town property, there would be a deed, whatever. It's now like a town cemetery, which it is, but it's going to be done in a way that the deed will show we don't have a separate deed for that property. It would be an easement so that we have access to maintain. I think I'm saying that correctly, Paul.
Yep.
And it did come from, again, Glenn really was helpful with me and the cemetery trustees coming up with this.
And is that to primarily protect the fact that down the road, who's going to own that
This has
property
been the
allows you
number one-
access?
This has been the number one goal of the cemetery trustees all along, is to make sure that what the state told us is in all likelihood in the abandoned Poor Farm Cemetery, that it doesn't get disturbed again for future generations.
And yes, so that no
Correct.
matter who owns that property, we can still
Correct.
access.
So it's
get
kind of like-
across it to
And
make
again,
it.
And
just so
once
everyone
once it's
knows,
drafted and recorded, it puts the world on notice that we have
Correct.
that right away as a town.
and just so you know, there's not a lot of other cases like this. This is a real odd situation. So from the state
We're writing the.
to all the way down, this has just been a real learning experience for a lot of people. And like I said, I just want to thank Glenn and Mark, did help a lot, giving us the suggestion, and then Paul, your help as well in determining the right way to do this. So, okay.
I'm not done yet. I still got to.
No, but that's
I'm
okay.
drafting the right of way and work with Attorney Morgan Spector for that. Yeah, well, I got more time on my hands now, so I'm
There you
gonna
go.
work on that.
And Dave, did you have anything?
I have no committee yet. April 8th, I'll be going to conservation.
Okay.
Next meeting will be.
Yeah, there is a roundtable for conservation that is, it's the first roundtable for conservation, bringing various conservation commissions from different towns together. And let me see, I have it on my calendar. That's actually 5:30, and it's going to be held here.
What's the date?
At the town hall?
Yeah,
Okay.
at the town hall. But we'll confirm that with Rob
Okay.
Wolfchuck.
Is it on the 8th?
No, this 26th.
26th.
This is separate,
Okay.
separate from the regular Conservation
Okay.
Commission
Wait.
meeting.
Wait,
So in 2 days?
Yes,
what?
Thursday night, right?
No? Did,
March 26th,
It's a Thursday.
here, what time?
It's a Thursday.
5:30.
Okay, there might be a conflict.
Yeah, because we have the municipal building
Yeah.
meeting.
All right, I
You guys
will,
could always use the Sanborn room too.
text Rob Wolfchuck and make sure we get that potential conflict sorted out.
I think that was another thing that I had talked about before of making sure we write on the calendar.
So there's actually a digital online.
Yeah, I like paper, but that's me.
I know, but it just helps in situations like this where.
Yeah, you can literally look at it and say, here online, it says this. Nope, understood. Letty, any committee updates?
I just wanted to verify, it sounds like it was on your mind too, Jim was the select board representative to the building committee. I assume you're gonna stay. I don't know, Bob did all the assignments, so I didn't know if that was on his
I
radar.
wasn't even on my radar, so if you're fine with that assignment? All right, we'll leave that the way it is.
So no, I haven't had any meetings, but
Okay. And then I'm gonna open it up to public comment. Anything?
are you, sorry.
Oh,
are you
sorry.
gonna-
Go
Are
ahead.
you gonna say that there's a building committee meeting on Thursday? Or would you like
I
me
was
to?
going to, but you can say.
Oh, you already,
I
okay.
thought you just said it, but okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say it at the end.
Oh, okay, sorry, I got
Alright.
confused because we were
So
going in
go
a circle.
ahead. We're having a municipal building meeting this Thursday evening at 6 o'clock here in this room on Thursday night, the 26th, and the public is welcome.
Good deal. Anything else? Anything from the public?
Nothing?
Sweet. Going once, going twice, sold. We're going to non-public in accordance with chapter 91A, 311, A, B, C, D, E, I, L, and M. I don't know which one we're going to. I think it's for personnel.
Make a motion.
It's
Second.
for personnel?
For personnel. And let's have a vote. All
Roll
in
call.
favor?
Yep.
Roll call.
Yep.
Jim?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Everyone have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Ward.
Thank you for sending me that. Good night, Jim. Good night, guys.
Yeah. That again. And then we got to turn off the microphones. Again. It's off.